If your clothes could speak, what would they say about your energy, your fortune, or the quiet reasons your success keeps slipping through your fingers? Every morning, millions of women step out the door wearing outfits they believe are harmless, maybe even stylish, professional, or comfortable. But what they don't realize is that some fabrics, colors, and designs aren't just wrapping the body, they're wrapping the energy field. And when that field is misaligned, it doesn't matter how confident you look on the outside. Your money slows down, your relationships tangle, and your clarity fades like a signal lost in static. I've spent over 20 years studying Feng Shui, not as superstition, but as a system of energy flow grounded in how our environments, yes, including what we wear, can either nourish or drain the spirit. And as someone who has also worked deeply with structure, design, and spatial alignment, let me tell you, your wardrobe is part of your architecture. It's not decoration, it's direction. Today, we're going to uncover 7 subtle but serious dressing mistakes that quietly sabotage women's wealth, vitality, and emotional protection. And more importantly, I'll show you how to shift that energy, how to wear clothes that breathe with you, protect you, and most of all, amplify who you truly are becoming. Because when your clothing carries the right energy, you don't have to chase luck. You become the kind of presence luck looks for. Section 1. Clothes with colors that clash with your elemental energy. Have you ever walked out the door feeling put together, polished, ready for the day, only to find your mood sinking for no reason at all? You spill your coffee. Your meetings feel off. You stumble on your words even though you rehearsed everything. And somewhere deep in your gut, there's a quiet discomfort you can't explain. Most people blame it on bad luck, poor sleep, or retrogrades in the stars. But very few ever consider the more grounded possibility. What if the color you're wearing is short-circuiting your entire energy system from the inside out? Color is not just about looking good in the mirror. It's about feeling aligned in your body, your breath, and your presence. In Feng Shui, and in the way energy flows through the natural world, every color is a vibration. It resonates, it pulses, and it either harmonizes with your core frequency or disturbs it. The truth is, some colors nourish you like sunlight soaking into the skin. Others disrupt you like static in the middle of a symphony. And yet, day after day, people make color choices based on what's trendy, what matches their skin tone, or what's clean in the closet, never once asking the question, is this color amplifying who I am, or is it pushing me further away from myself? What makes this more complex is that your body isn't just one thing. You're not just a personality or a style. You're a unique blend of elemental energy. Some of us are water types, calm, intuitive, deep feeling. Others carry the fire, driven, expressive, always igniting. Some are wood, growing, seeking, expansive. Earth types offer grounding, nurturing, and stillness. Metal brings focus, structure, and refinement. Each of these elements interacts with color differently, and what energizes one person can destabilize another. A fire-type woman might glow in red and rise like a spark. But place that same red on a water-type woman, especially after heartbreak, and it could feel like boiling the calm she needs to stay emotionally afloat. This isn't abstract. It's experiential. You've already felt it, you just didn't know what to call it. When your elemental energy and your clothing color are in conflict, your body resists in quiet ways. You may feel anxious, distracted, drained, or even overly reactive. Your focus scatters, your tone sharpens, and perhaps most damaging of all, you stop receiving. Not just compliments, not just joy, but actual signals from the environment that guide your next move, your clarity, your synchronicity. Wearing the wrong color isn't about fashion. It's about frequency mismatch, and frequency controls flow. Let me offer you something deeper to reflect on. Have you ever noticed how certain days feel strangely aligned? You wear something that just feels right. The energy flows, conversations sparkle, opportunities unfold, and your whole system seems to hum in sync with the world. That's not coincidence. That's resonance. You chose a color that harmonized with your core element and the timing of the moment, even if unconsciously. The power of clothing isn't in how it looks, it's in how it tunes you. There's a well-known designer whose public life has gone through multiple reinventions. But in her quiet phases, in moments when she's stepping into deeper spiritual work or launching something transformative, she's almost always seen in white. Not because it's fashionable, but because white, pure, unburdened, reflective, creates an energetic reset. It protects, clarifies, and quiets the emotional static that other colors might stir up. She's not dressing for image. She's dressing for energy. And when you make that shift, not for show, but for self, you start to feel the difference in your breath, your interactions, even your financial results. What most people overlook is that color also stores emotional memory. That red dress you wore when you felt powerful might still carry that glow. But that same red, if worn after a betrayal or a public embarrassment, can unconsciously reactivate the same wound. Your skin remembers, your field remembers, and while it's easy to dismiss these things as mood swings or bad days, you have to ask yourself, how many of your bad days are really color-triggered energy conflicts? Let's be clear, this doesn't mean you need to throw away half your closet, but it does mean you need to observe. What days feel aligned? What colors give you breath? What tones make you feel heavy? And what outfits consistently seem to coincide with misunderstanding, lost energy, or missed chances? If your outer colors don't match your inner energy, then every day becomes an uphill climb, no matter how prepared you are. This isn't about superstition. It's about self-mastery. When you choose clothing colors that align with your elemental flow, you create an energy system that's not leaking, not fighting, not numbing itself just to function. You create presence, not just performance. You stabilize yourself not just mentally, but energetically. And when that happens, money doesn't have to be chased. It naturally moves toward where alignment already exists. So before you reach for your favorite color again, ask yourself, is this color helping me hear my own intuition, or is it drowning it out? Because when your energy speaks louder than your clothing, people don't just see you, they feel you. And that's where transformation begins. Section 2. Dull gray or faded black outfits. What's the real energy of your favorite hoodie? The one you grab on rainy days or when you're feeling low? Is it comfort or quiet despair? Most people don't stop to ask. The fabric feels soft. The color looks neutral. It doesn't draw attention, and maybe that's the point. But if you've been walking through life feeling unseen, unheard, or oddly disconnected from yourself and others, have you ever wondered if the very clothes you reach for during emotional lows are actually keeping you there longer than you intend? In the language of energy, colors are messengers. They don't just sit on the surface. They send signals into the environment and reflect signals back into your field. Dull gray and faded black are unique because they're not inherently bad, but they carry an emotional weight that builds slowly, quietly, and often unnoticed. These tones, when chosen intentionally and in balance, can be grounding, introspective, and even elegant. But when worn out of habit, especially when your emotional resilience is already thin, they become amplifiers of heaviness. That's where the subtle danger lies. You think you're hiding, healing, or keeping things simple, when in truth, Your energy is slowly dimming behind layers of emotional fog. Think about how your home feels on a cloudy day. The light doesn't fill the room the same way. The air feels still, thick, and a little tired. Now imagine wearing that cloud on your body every day. That's what happens when your wardrobe becomes a repetition of lifeless tones, colors that don't reflect light, don't activate the field around you, and don't invite anything new in. And while you might feel like you're choosing simplicity, ease, or even minimalism, the truth is that repetitive muted tones create an energetic echo chamber, where your thoughts feel slower, your motivation quieter, and your creativity more distant. This isn't just about color, it's about how color influences presence. When you walk into a room in dull gray or washed-out black, you may be physically there, but your energy often isn't. People might forget you spoke. Conversations drift past you. Even when you're trying to contribute, it feels like your voice doesn't quite land. And if you've ever walked away from a meeting, a gathering, or even a date thinking, "I don't know why, but I just didn't feel seen today," you have to consider whether your outfit played a bigger role than you thought. In creative fields especially, whether you're a designer, a coach, an artist, or simply someone who needs to generate ideas daily, muted tones can mimic internal stagnation. They don't just dress the body, they shape the mood. And if you're already facing burnout, overthinking, or self-doubt, these colors can deepen that spiral rather than lifting you out of it. There's a subtle danger in this because it doesn't feel dramatic, it feels numb. And numbness, unlike pain, is harder to notice, easier to accept, and more difficult to break free from. But the most important question is, are you choosing these colors because they reflect your mood or because they're creating it? Sometimes the hoodie isn't soothing you. It's repeating the emotional cycle you've been trying to escape. And that's where this becomes more than a conversation about style. It becomes a matter of energetic self-awareness. You don't need to wear sunshine yellow or blazing red to shift this pattern. What matters is whether your outfit has the ability to lift even a corner of the emotional weight you're carrying. Even subtle changes, like mixing gray with crisp white, or pairing faded black with a rich textured scarf in deep rust or soft gold, can break the energetic monotony without breaking your sense of identity. Energy doesn't need volume, it needs light. And sometimes that light enters not through brightness, but through contrast, depth, and warmth. Think of it like this. A night sky is only beautiful because the stars pierce the darkness. The problem isn't darkness itself, it's when there's nothing breaking through it. So if you're wearing dullness day after day, and you're not introducing any movement, any highlight, or any shift in energy, you're creating a stillness that eventually becomes emotional silence. And silence, when it lingers too long, turns into disconnection, not just from others, but from yourself. You stop checking in. You stop asking what you need. You start accepting the heaviness as normal. That's when the hoodie becomes more than a hoodie. That's when the soft, black tee turns from comfort into camouflage, from self-soothing into self-erasing. Have you noticed how those are often the days you cancel plans, avoid mirrors, or feel invisible even to the people who love you most? This is why I say the danger of dull colors isn't immediate, it's cumulative. It's not a thunderstorm, it's fog. A slow, thick fog that makes you forget where the road even was. You don't crash, but you stall. And the cost of stalling, energetically, financially, emotionally, is that the world moves forward without you. Opportunities slip past, not because they weren't meant for you, but because your signal wasn't strong enough to pull them in. So the real question isn't whether gray or black are wrong. It's how often are they quietly dimming your frequency, while you keep calling it comfort. And if that's the case, are you wearing your emotions, or are your clothes now wearing you? Section 3. Clothing with aggressive or violent imagery. If your shirt says, "Don't mess with me," then you shouldn't be surprised when the world listens and stops offering support, softness, or opportunities your way. By the time we've stepped into this third layer of energetic dressing, we've already explored how color and tone shape how others perceive us and how we feel within ourselves. But there's a different language embedded into what we wear that most people overlook entirely: the silent message of symbolism. Not logos, not fashion labels, but symbols, the designs, prints, and images that speak long before we ever open our mouths. And while some symbols quietly amplify warmth or invite curiosity, others, skulls, fangs, flames, roaring beasts, swords, signal tension, hostility, and emotional armor. Symbols are not neutral. They're energetic shortcuts to emotional frequency. They bypass the intellect and go straight to the subconscious. When someone wears a shirt with barbed wire, a knife, or a predator's teeth, they may think they're expressing personal style or edge. But the moment that symbol sits on your chest, you are announcing an energetic posture of defense, control, even threat. This doesn't mean you are violent. It doesn't mean you want to hurt anyone. It means your clothing has taken the emotional shape of someone who expects harm and is already bracing for it. That posture, tight, guarded, alert, immediately shifts your field and alters what others sense from you. In Feng Shui, we refer to this effect as silent armor. It's what happens when the body is surrounded by imagery that hardens the energy field. You might feel tougher. You might even feel more in control. But what you lose in the process is softness, receptivity, trust, magnetic openness. And when those qualities leave your field, the opportunities that rely on connection, partnership, collaboration, grace, also stay out of reach. You're not attracting chaos. You're repelling kindness. It's a shield that keeps out both harm and help. That's where the true cost lies. Think for a moment about how humans have always used symbols to mark emotion. A flag to declare war. A crest to declare loyalty. Even ancient warriors carved images of teeth or death onto their armor to send a message: "I am ready to fight." But what happens when that same imagery is stitched into everyday clothing and worn into spaces of growth, love, or business? You begin to vibrate with the frequency of resistance. And when you operate from that stance, even the most well-intentioned conversations start to feel like confrontations. You walk into a room and instead of being seen, you are scanned. Instead of being felt, you are assessed. And slowly, you begin to feel misunderstood, alone, or perpetually misjudged, not realizing the invitation was blocked before it even began. You might think this is just about aesthetics, but how many times have you felt on edge, not because of what happened around you, but because of what you carried on you? Have you worn a shirt with a skull motif and felt strangely restless all day? Or noticed tension in your chest during a conversation while wearing something with jagged prints or predator themes? These aren't superstitions. They're energetic reflections. The field around your body responds to imagery. And just like sound, smell, or color, symbols can stir subtle emotional states that shift how you breathe, how you speak, and how others respond to you. It's worth remembering that clothing isn't just worn during passive moments. People negotiate, pray, heal, fall in love, and build their futures in what they wear. And when your clothing is embedded with symbols of destruction, death, or aggression, you risk inviting unnecessary friction into the very spaces where you need calm, clarity, and flow. Just think about how even in professional environments, aggressive fashion statements can create silent emotional tension before the meeting even begins. You're not being judged unfairly. You're simply projecting a frequency that invites hesitation rather than harmony. There's a public figure, a musician, who went through a major life transition a few years ago. Earlier in her career, she often wore outfits covered in skulls, barbed wire motifs, and heavy black leather. Her performances were electric but emotionally chaotic. Over time, as she matured and moved into mindfulness, she made a subtle but powerful shift. Her wardrobe softened, lighter patterns emerged, organic shapes, flowing fabrics. The result wasn't just a change in her aesthetic, it was a visible change in her presence. She wasn't just performing, she was now allowing people to connect. The armor came down, and suddenly a more empowered version of her came through. That transition wasn't just personal, it was energetic, and anyone watching closely could feel the difference. You don't have to abandon your edge to dress with intention. But you do have to ask yourself whether your clothes are reinforcing the world you're trying to grow into, or the pain you're still defending yourself against. Just because something feels strong doesn't mean it's stabilizing. Some strength hardens, other strength expands. The question is, what kind of strength are you dressing for? If your shirt says, "Stay away," and you feel constantly unsupported, perhaps it's time to wonder, have I been dressing more for emotional protection than energetic connection? Because in Feng Shui, protection doesn't come from fear. It comes from flow, and sometimes the most powerful shield isn't a roar, it's resonance. Section 4. Wearing clothes that do not match the timing, season, or energetic context. Imagine showing up to a whisper with a megaphone. That's what wearing the wrong outfit can feel like to energy. You might think it's just a matter of fashion etiquette, but this goes far deeper than tradition or formality. In the world of energy, what you wear carries a vibrational tone, and that tone either blends with the current of life around you or disrupts it entirely. Every moment, every season, every moon cycle, every sacred occasion has its own energetic rhythm. And when you dress out of sync with that rhythm, it's not just that you look out of place. You feel off, you speak off, you attract off. What's often labeled as bad timing in life may be, in fact, the echo of a misaligned presence trying to push against the current instead of moving with it. This isn't about being superstitious. It's about being sensitive in a way that's wise, not fearful. The energetic tone of an environment changes depending on time, setting, and cosmic conditions. Summer, for instance, is ruled by fire energy, expansive, hot, bold. It's the season for growth and action. But when someone chooses to wear thick, dark, heat-trapping fabrics like velvet or deep charcoal black during this season, their body begins to suffocate under layers of stagnation. Internally, the fire becomes excessive, leading to mental agitation, impatience, or even emotional burnout. It's not always the heat that wears you down. It's the silent resistance your body feels when your clothes are holding the wrong kind of energy. On the other side of the spectrum, we have moments like spiritual observances, seasonal transitions, or sacred gatherings. Times when the energy calls for softness, stillness, humility. And yet, it's surprisingly common to see people wearing glittering outfits, reflective sequins, or overly revealing styles to temple visits, ancestral altars, or even during the quiet of the full moon. These choices, while often innocent, create what I call frequency distortion. You're sending out signals that clash with the purpose of the moment. It's like bringing city noise into a forest, not because it's loud, but because it's unaware. The space becomes unsettled, and you feel the subtle effects long after: restlessness, ungrounded thoughts, a feeling that something just didn't land right. This mismatch doesn't only happen during obvious occasions, it happens quietly in everyday life. A client once told me she always wore black on her birthday because she felt it looked elegant. But every year, she felt emotionally distant, unsupported, or strangely melancholy during a time meant to celebrate her life. After we worked through her energy chart, it turned out her elemental balance needed joy, warmth, and earth tones to feel safe. She wore black because it felt sleek, but it was actually muting her visibility on a day when the universe was most ready to give. It wasn't the outfit that failed her, it was the timing. She wasn't dressing for the energy of the moment, she was dressing for her habit, and in doing so, she was stepping out of alignment without knowing it. There's a well-known actress who quietly shifted her wardrobe in recent years. She used to favor bold colors, metallic textures, and form-fitting silhouettes regardless of time or place. But as her work deepened, especially around wellness and emotional embodiment, she started wearing soft neutrals, silks, and loose forms during full moons and major shoots. Not because she was following a trend, but because she realized those moments required attunement, not performance. Her presence became more rooted, and the projects she touched carried a different kind of weight, the kind that comes from someone who knows when to rise and when to retreat. So ask yourself, how often do you check the weather but not the energy? How often do you plan for the event but not for the moment's emotional tone? Dressing out of sync isn't always dramatic, but it creates subtle friction, missed connections, conversations that don't quite flow, opportunities that feel delayed or misunderstood. You might feel it as irritability or sudden fatigue, or that unexplainable sense that something small but important just slipped past you. And most people won't trace it back to clothing because we've been taught to see style as separate from energy. But they're not separate, they're layered. In Feng Shui, we often say that the outer reflects the inner, but the inverse is just as true. The outer influences the inner. When you walk into a quiet space wearing loud energy, your nervous system doesn't know where to land. When you walk into a bright, new beginning wearing the clothes of grief or retreat, your frequency doesn't register as open. It registers as guarded, and life listens. Life listens not just to what you say, but to what you signal. The severity of this mistake is often hidden not because it's harmless, but because it's silent. It doesn't come in like thunder. It comes in like a gentle, consistent misalignment that slowly pulls you out of rhythm until you're no longer sure why everything feels just a little off. That's the cost of ignoring timing. Not just in speech or action, but in clothing, too. So maybe next time, before choosing an outfit, ask not just what looks good or what fits the occasion, but what is the energy of today calling for, and do I want to meet it or mute it? Because when you dress in harmony with the moment responds. You're not just present, you're in tune. And in that tuning, energy flows freely, support arrives gently, and life moves more easily toward you. Section 5. Worn out or damaged clothing. That faded tee may still fit, but does it still fit the life you're building? We hold on to clothes for many reasons. Some remind us of good memories. Others feel familiar when life around us feels uncertain. But not every item in your closet is harmless just because it's soft. In fact, some clothes stop holding your body and start holding your past. And the longer you wear them without realizing that shift, the more you anchor yourself to an identity you may no longer belong to. At first glance, this might sound like sentimentality. But when seen through the lens of energy, what we keep touching, wearing, and placing close to the skin isn't just cloth. It's memory woven into matter. Clothing is unlike any other object in our lives. It doesn't just sit on a shelf or hang on a wall. It wraps around our bodies. It soaks in our sweat, our breath, our emotion. It absorbs the silence after heartbreak, the pressure before an interview, the anxiety of sleepless nights, the tears of moments we didn't speak out loud. And when those clothes become worn out, torn at the seams, stained in places we ignore, stretched from overuse, they start doing something subtle but serious. They begin to mirror emotional erosion. The damage isn't just in the thread. It's in the energy they carry and the version of you they're silently replaying. You might think, if it still fits, why let it go? But have you ever noticed that the clothes you wear during painful times often carry a certain feeling, even long after the moment has passed? You put it on, and you suddenly feel smaller, less confident, slightly unsettled. Not because the color is wrong or the fabric uncomfortable, but because your body remembers what it went through while wearing that exact piece. This is where modern psychology and Feng Shui quietly meet. Neuroscience tells us that objects associated with trauma or emotional pain can trigger unconscious memories, even when we don't intend it. Feng Shui takes it further. What touches the body becomes part of the field. And when your field is layered in emotional residue, even small triggers can throw your energy off center. The most dangerous part? These clothes don't shout, they whisper. You wear them on a low day just because they're easy. Then again the next week, because you're too tired to choose something else. Slowly, they become your second skin, not because they're aligned with who you are, but because they're familiar to the version of you that was just trying to survive. And survival clothes rarely support growth. They're stitched with stories of holding it together, not stepping forward. And yet, so many of us wear them through new chapters, hoping things will feel different, without realizing we're still cloaked in yesterday's weight. I once worked with a client who couldn't seem to shake a cycle of professional rejection. She was talented, committed, grounded, but every time she showed up for opportunities, something missed. We went through her space and nothing stood out, until we reached her closet. There, hanging in the front row, was a gray blazer she'd worn during her most stressful job, the one that drained her and led to her burnout. She kept it because it was still in good shape. But what shape was it keeping her in? The moment she let it go, with intention, not resentment, her field shifted. She wasn't just discarding fabric, she was closing a loop. So what do you do when you realize a piece of clothing has expired energetically, even if it hasn't fallen apart physically? There's a reason ancient cultures use rituals to release. And you don't need to follow tradition exactly to honor energy. Sometimes, all it takes is placing the item in direct sunlight for 3 days, letting nature neutralize what the fabric has stored. Or quietly saying thank you to the garment before you donate it, acknowledging its service while freeing both it and yourself. It's not about the object, it's about the awareness. That's where real energy shifts happen. You don't need to make it dramatic. Some clothes will be easy to let go. Others will tug at you, especially if they connect to people, places, or versions of you that still feel unfinished. But here's the truth. If a piece of clothing keeps you emotionally parked in a place you've already outgrown, then keeping it isn't an act of love. It's an act of delay. And every time you reach for it out of convenience, you reaffirm the belief that your past still fits. But you are not here to fit back into pain. You're here to move forward with presence. When your closet is filled with worn-out clothes, it's not just your space that's cluttered, it's your energy field. And when your energy field is cluttered, life has less room to enter. Whether it's money, clarity, or connection, these things arrive in open spaces, not in places where old threads still whisper. This is who you are. So ask yourself, not what the garment looks like now, but what it felt like then. Do you still want to carry that version of yourself into this day, into this decision, into this relationship? Because sometimes, healing starts not with meditation or books, but with the quiet decision to let one outdated shirt go. Section 6. Clothes that are too tight around the belly, chest, or waist. When your clothes squeeze you, they don't just reshape your body, they shrink your spirit. This isn't about style or comfort, it's about pressure. Pressure on your breath, pressure on your digestion, pressure on your emotional state, and eventually, pressure on the very opportunities that are trying to move toward you. As we've seen in earlier sections, your clothing affects more than just how you look. But here, we move from symbolic to mechanical, from external representation to internal restriction. Because when fabric presses tightly against the body's vital centers, you're not just compressing space, you're compressing energy. Think for a moment about how your body naturally moves when it feels safe. The chest expands, the belly softens, the shoulders relax. There's rhythm in your breath, looseness in your step, openness in your posture. That's the energy of receptivity. That's what allows you to feel clear, present, grounded. Now imagine the opposite. Your waistband cuts into your lower stomach. Your chest is compressed by a stiff bra or a buttoned top that's just a bit too small. Your waist feels cinched like it's being held in place rather than supported. Your breath shortens. Your shoulders pull forward. Your voice changes. Not because you want it to, but because your body has gone into quiet survival mode. You're not showing up fully. You're showing up partially, divided between maintaining your shape and managing your tension. In Feng Shui, the body is not just a vessel, it's a field. And certain areas of that field act as energy gates. The belly governs digestion, not just of food, but of emotion and experience. The chest is where breath meets intention. Your ability to speak clearly, to express emotion, to create presence. The waist is the bridge that connects your lower grounding energy with your upper awareness. When any of these areas are consistently squeezed, twisted, or compressed, you're blocking more than circulation, you're interrupting flow. That interruption may not be visible right away, but over time it reveals itself in chronic fatigue, emotional instability, tension headaches, shallow breathing, or even difficulty staying mentally focused in moments that matter. The problem isn't fashion, it's fixation. Somewhere along the way, we learn to believe that tight equals beautiful, that a sculpted silhouette equals control. But what if control is the very thing that's keeping your energy from expanding? What if the polished exterior is costing you the flexibility to think, to feel, to be? And more importantly, how many of your most important moments have you walked into physically restricted? Interviews, presentations, first impressions. Dressed in an outfit that looked powerful but made you feel like you had to hold your breath just to make it through. I once spoke with a designer who shared that during her early career, she wore tight pencil skirts and cinched tops because she thought that's what command looked like. But she noticed something strange. Her posture stiffened in meetings. Her breath would stop during conflict. She couldn't quite access her voice when it mattered. It wasn't nerves, it was compression. Once she shifted to clothing that honored her shape but allowed movement, her presence changed. People began listening more, not because she dressed down, but because she dressed in a way that let her energy speak louder than her outfit. There's a very subtle message here that many people miss. Tightness is not the same as structure. Structure supports, tightness constrains, and your energy can feel the difference even if your eyes cannot. Natural fibers, like cotton, bamboo, or linen, allow the skin to breathe and energy to move freely. They respond to the body's heat and adjust with it. Looser cuts around the waist and chest encourage deeper breathing, better posture, and clearer thought. Layering, when done intentionally, provides containment without restriction, support without suffocation. These may seem like small design choices, but energetically they make a difference. They tell the body you're safe here. You can expand. You can trust this container. And in that safety, something subtle happens. Your intuition rises, your emotional body relaxes, and your mind sharpens. It's not always about beauty. Sometimes it's about breath. And breath is what allows life to move through you without resistance. Tight clothing doesn't just constrict your organs, it narrows your bandwidth. When you're in a high-stress moment, pitching a dream, making a decision, stepping into a space where your future is being shaped, your energy needs room. It needs flexibility. It needs to adapt. And if your outfit has already locked your body into a state of restriction, then your mind will mirror that pattern. You'll think in binaries, feel overwhelmed by choice, and collapse into silence. Not because you're unprepared, but because your physical form has already shut down the channel. So ask yourself, not does this make me look slimmer, but can I breathe fully in this? Not does this show my figure, but can I expand in this when I need to lead? These aren't style questions, they're energy questions. And your body already knows the answers. When clothing lets your energy flow, you feel lighter. When it locks you in, you carry a weight that no one can see, but everyone can feel. Section 7. Overly revealing or provocative clothing. Being seen is different from being exposed, and your energy knows the difference. At first glance, clothing that reveals more skin may appear to radiate confidence, boldness, even personal freedom. But when viewed through the lens of energetic flow and spiritual presence, the story shifts. This conversation isn't about modesty. It isn't about shame, tradition, or judgment. It's about protection. Specifically, the quiet kind of protection your energy field relies on when navigating the emotional and energetic complexity of human spaces. Because the truth is, your aura is not just a glow. It's a shield. And when too much of the physical body is exposed in the wrong environment or during the wrong season of life, that shield can become porous, and your internal energy begins to leak. Every person carries what we often call an energetic boundary, an invisible membrane between self and world. It's the part of your field that helps filter what you absorb, what you respond to, and what you carry. But when your clothing leaves little barrier between your skin and the collective gaze, your field is left to carry a load it was never meant to hold. You become more open to projections, expectations, opinions, judgments, some conscious, others not. You may not always recognize them in the moment, but over time, the symptoms become clear. Fatigue after a public gathering, irritability after being looked at too long, emotional confusion after seemingly simple interactions. These aren't personality flaws. They're signs of overstimulation through visual energy leaks. It's not about how much is shown. It's about how much is left unprotected in the wrong context. A swimsuit on the beach is freedom. A low-cut dress during a networking event might be distraction. A sheer top during a sacred ritual could be dissonance. And when that dissonance happens, you may find that people respond to you differently. Instead of being met for your presence, you're engaged for your image. Instead of being heard, you're watched. Instead of being felt, you're filtered. And in that moment, even if you hold confidence on the surface, something deeper begins to collapse. A sense of safety, of rootedness, of being in full control of your energy exchange. In high-focus environments, boardrooms, family gatherings, spiritual events, decision-making spaces, the way you present yourself influences how your energy is received. This isn't about policing your body. It's about understanding how visual noise can drown out energetic clarity. When the body becomes the focal point, intention gets sidelined. Your ideas may be strong, your heart sincere, but if your presence creates too much reactive stimulation in others, their ability to meet you where you are energetically may decrease. And what's most important gets lost, not because it wasn't valuable, but because it wasn't the loudest part of the interaction. There's another layer here that most people don't talk about. The more revealing your clothing, the more energetically entangled you become with the emotional fields of others. Stares carry weight. Gaze carries energy. And when someone looks at you with lust, jealousy, or even admiration that is not rooted in genuine connection, that energy doesn't just bounce off you, it enters. If your own energetic system is strong, grounded, and clear, you might handle this. But if you're in a season of healing, or operating from fatigue, or recovering from emotional wounds, these interactions leave you vulnerable in ways you may not understand until much later. When you feel heavy, confused, or strangely unmotivated without explanation. I once worked with a client who dressed provocatively not for attention, but for empowerment. She had broken free from years of feeling invisible. Her new style helped her reclaim space. But slowly, she began to feel watched in a way that made her hyper-aware, even on days she wanted peace. She didn't change overnight, but she began introducing layers, textures, and subtle contrast, not because she was hiding, but because she wanted to hold her energy more fully. And what happened surprised her. She felt calmer, less reactive. Her focus deepened. Her creativity expanded. She was still seen, but now it was her essence, not her exposure, that was doing the speaking. This distinction matters. Confidence is not the same as exposure. Strength is not the same as display. You can be powerful, radiant, magnetic, and still hold your energy close like sacred fire. You don't have to cover everything, but you do need to ask, is this outfit reinforcing my field, or is it inviting too many strings in? Am I being perceived, or am I being read into? Because when your aura becomes the loudest part of your outfit, people don't just react to what they see. They connect with what they feel. And that's the kind of presence that doesn't fade after the room empties. That's the kind of presence that stays, resonates, and creates spaces of respect around you without ever having to demand it. Final, your closet isn't just full of clothes. It's full of energy choices, and each one is shaping your future. That may sound poetic, but in the reality of Feng Shui, it's deeply practical. Every fabric you touch, every color you step into, every symbol you carry on your chest becomes part of your personal frequency. And frequency is what life responds to, not intention alone, not effort alone, but the invisible signal you broadcast through the way you show up. You don't have to say a word. Your outfit is already speaking. And for most people, it's been speaking on their behalf for years without them realizing what it's been saying. Let's be honest, most people don't think this deeply about their clothes. That's why the same mistakes keep repeating across so many lives. They choose colors that clash with their elemental energy and wonder why their mood and motivation shift from day to day. They live in faded black and gray and wonder why they feel invisible or emotionally dulled. They wear skulls, claws, and aggressive patterns and wonder why their relationships feel tense or why people keep their distance. They ignore seasons and sacred moments, wearing flashy clothes to quiet spaces and somber colors to celebrations, then wonder why their blessings feel delayed or scattered. They hold on to worn-out pieces from old identities, unaware that they're dragging yesterday's pain into tomorrow's opportunities. They squeeze into tight fabrics for the sake of image, then wonder why their breath shortens and their mind feels foggy in high-stakes moments. They reveal too much, not because they lack respect, but because they're searching for validation, and still leave interactions feeling drained, misunderstood, or judged. These aren't just fashion choices. They are repeated energetic leaks, Subtle, small, but compounding with time until clarity, confidence, and connection begin to quietly slip away. What your wardrobe holds is not just history, it's potential. And each day you get dressed, you choose whether that potential is aligned with who you are becoming or who you used to be. You don't have to fix it all at once. You don't have to throw everything out. But you do have to pause long enough to ask, is this outfit reinforcing my field or weakening it? Is it amplifying the version of me that is healing, growing, and receiving? Or is it comforting the part of me that's still hiding, shrinking, or bracing? Because when you dress in alignment with your truth, you don't need luck. You become the signal that fortune responds to, and you stop trying to push life forward. You start drawing it in, effortlessly, magnetically, and with the quiet authority of someone who is not just dressed to impress, but dressed to align.